It looks he's facing some problems or what? Ajay, can you hear us, Ajay? Okay. Right. Let us start with this one, which will talk about it. NFPA section 25, talking about the inspection, testing, maintenance for the firefighting system, which is water-based. And this one, it is collecting for us the testing and the inspection which we are applied before for all individual sections. So this NFPA 25 section will talk about the system as a system integration, what will be the required test and the inspection weekly, monthly, and annually, applicable for all elements within the system of the firefighting wet system. Okay. As we said that the fire pump is the heart for the fire protection system. And this one, and all other systems, they are working with the firefighting, starting from the standpipe and landing valve, hose reels, and the sprinklers and the pipes, control valve, etc. All of this one, they are accessories or devices associated with the fire pump, which is the heart of our firefighting system. The main standards it is applicable for this testing is the NFPA 20, which is the installation of the stationary pumps. NFPA 25, which is the inspection, testing, maintenance for the water-based section, and the life safety sections, and the global FM global factory mutual. The type of the fire pumps, which we talked about it last time, just to remind me, we have 4 types. Horizontal split case, which is the commonly used, and we said the horizontal split case is the common used one, the famous one, which is applicable for the buildings, either residential or industrial. And horizontal split is the commonly used because it is covering widely the range of the pump size, and it is easy for maintenance. Most of the technicians and the suppliers, they are familiar with the horizontal, and it can go for the high pressure, so it is serving high-rise building, and it can go for a huge discharge going for 1000 GPMs. And the next one, but the disadvantage for the horizontal split case, that it is horizontally installed, so it requires a big space from the firefighting pump. So this is a disadvantage from the split case unit. The other one, the vertical split case, and it is installed vertically, and it has less pressure, less head, and less discharge, so it is suitable for less capacities, for small building or medium buildings. The other is vertical inline pump, and this becomes smaller and smaller. Vertical turbine, where you have the pump above the water tank, or it is in the well, and it has special applications, not everywhere. So this one, you have to put the water tank to be installed underground, and the fire pump, it is located above the tank itself and doesn't require any positive suction head for the pump. The end suction pump, this one from the definition, it is installed from the end line, and it is diverting, taking the suction horizontally and diverting vertically for the risers, for the header, common headers and riser, or the standpipe of the system, which will be in a smaller size. So each type of the pump, it has advantage and disadvantage for the application and the area of application where we have to install it. All the fire pumps, it has to be UL, FM, and following the NFPA. What is the UL and the FM? Do you have definitions for this UL listed and the FM approved? What is the difference between both of them? Do you have an idea?
This FM approved is factory manufactured. This under American approval, and UL
what is the UL
under
calls for, and what is
under laboratory approval.
Underwriter. Okay.
And
what they are doing? What is these organizations?
These are the third-party certified item. The product,
okay.
Third-party certified.
Okay. UL is the underwriters laboratories. What is this one? It's a global independent safety. As you said, it is third party. It is a science company which has the experiences and the knowledge and put its own standards for the testing and the operationing and the developing the firefighting and the life safety systems. So this one, it's a independent safety science company which having the expertise innovating safety solution from the public adopting for electricity to the new breakthrough of the sustainability, renewable energy, and nanotechnology. So it is a science company, third party. It is dedicated to promote the safety, the safe living and working environment. So it is not only dedicated for the life safety devices, but it is widely for the sustainability as well, renewable energy, helping safeguard the people, protection the people and the product in place in important ways, facilitating trade and providing a peace of mind. So whoever company product, it is certified by the UL, it is following their procedures. So it is a company which is developing standards for how the product should be operated safely. So they are taking care for the operational. So the design to be functionally and safely operated as a device. To make this one, they have to make a test. So they are developing their own product, their own test procedures to following their procedures. So they are, as we said, it is a scientific company. They are developing their own procedures and putting the rules and the methodology, how the devices and the equipment, it has to work safely to protect the people. So they have made their own test to make it. And whatever product it is passing the test, the manufacturer can place the UL mark on the product. Okay. The same for the fire alarm. Whatever fire alarm system or electrical system as a life safety device, it is certified by UL. It is monitored by center by UL, becomes listed. UL investigates the company and ensuring that the company understands it and can comply with the applicable standard. UL audit list company once per year. So whatever company it is UL listed, they have to audit it once a year to assuring that they are following the procedures, they are applying the test as certified and as procedures by the UL. So this is the UL. What about the FM? Okay. Before we go for this one, authority of jurisdiction, AHG, which will require the UL certificate. This authority AHG here in Qatar, it is the QCDD, Qatar Civil Defense. So this one they might require or not, depending on the authority, but most of the authorities and the civil defense governments, they are requiring UL and FM certified. It has to be for the fire alarm, for the life safety devices, starting from the fire alarm, exit signs, and the pump itself. Factory mutual, it is the same service as UL at one time from a property was insured for the time when a property was insured by factory mutual insurance, they are required the fire alarm system to be FM approved. So the factory mutual, it is providing the same service of the UL. In addition, they are providing insurance as well. So whatever a building or facility it is certified or as FM or approved, it means that they are insuring the facility itself. So for civil defense, they are requesting the life safety devices to be FM and UL listed. FM certified and insured, and UL listed. What will be the devices would like to be tested here within NFPA 25? We will start first with the pump. As we studied last time under NFPA 20, regarding the fire pump, it is classification and the type of the pump. It is different, either it is split case or vertical or turbine or end line suction, etc. This is a pump. Another definition and the category will be the driven type. Either it is electrical or diesel engine, the flow, GPM, gallon per minute, the head pressure by feet or bar, the horsepower, and revolution per minute, the RPM is the speed of the motor. Each fire pump, it has to indicate the details for the fire pump with a fixed nameplate on the pump itself. And the plate, it has to be solidly stacked for the pump without you cannot be removed, or even it is grooved in the body of the pump itself. So it has to be permanently indicated lifetime of the equipment, cannot be changed, cannot be removed. And it has to indicate all the parameters of the pump, the model, the type, the serial number, and it is unique serial number for each pump, the GPM, the pressure, PSI, the horsepower, okay, showing all the details. If it is electrical, what will be the operational voltage and the current, for the rating current or for the locked rotor currents, what will be the details for the pump. And it has to be indicated clearly on the pump. Very important for the civil defense, or before we go for the civil defense. For you to order the pump, first you have to make the design. Second, you have to make the selectivity and the head calculation and the selectivity study for the pump, selecting the operational pressure and the head and discharge for the pump, and making the order for the pump. Placing the order, you will get a serial number for each product, which will be unique for the project, unique for the equipment itself, where you have it from each manufacturer, a unique serial number. And this serial number is very, very, very important number for the plate. It is a definition or the ID for the equipment itself. Going for the factory test, it has to be indicated clearly, the serial number indicated on the pump. The purchase order and the manufacturer clearance, it has to indicate it. When you make the selectivity, you have to indicate it. When you make a submittal for the civil defense to come for the inspection, you have to submit the data sheet and the material submitted for the fire pump, indicating clearly the serial number. It will be one of the major points QCDD will come and inspect it, and assuring that the serial number of the pump is matching exactly your selection, your calculation, and your material submittal and order and the test procedures. All of these documents, it has to show unique serial number for it. Okay. So be sure to track the serial number for the fire pump, especially for the fire pumps. The accessories for the fire pump, it will be a pump shaft coupling, the automatic air release valve, and the pressure gauge, circulation relief valve for the electrical driven pump, and the pump relief valve for the diesel driven pump, alarm sensors and indicators, right angle gear set for the engine driven vertical shaft, and the jockey pump and its accessories. Do you have experience with these equipments? What is the function for each one? What is the pump shaft coupling?
It is a connector between pump and
the driving devices, which will be the electric motor or diesel engine. And the automatic air release valve?
It is in diesel engine, this air release valve.
So this release valve, we cannot put it in the electrical. What is the function of this air release valve?
If excess of air created, it will release the air automatically.
Oh, it is air relief valve.
Yeah,
It is not pressure relief. It is air relief valve. The automatic air relief valve.
That any air choke happen inside.
Any of the hydraulic systems where you have water, you install automatic release valve, which could be installed on the top body of the pump, or it is installed on the header. It has to be installed to eliminate and absorb and take out any air gaps within the water, because the airs, if it is in there in the water, it will cause some turbulence and causing the hammering within the network. So it has to be eliminated. Why it is happening? Because the air itself, the compression of the air, it is not constant. So it will be it's like a spring, compressed and depressed, which will making with the flow of the water, it is making hammering. In addition, the air itself within the air gap inside a steel pipe or iron pipe with water, it will cause rusting for the pipes itself. So you have to take the air outside the pump to avoid hammering and the turbulency, and to avoid any rusting within the pipe itself. Rusting within the pipe, it will cause two factors. Number one, the depreciation and the lifetime of the pipes itself, it will be less. In addition, any rusting, it might take any particles and this small piece of iron moving within the water of the pressurized water within the network. It might go for the sprinkler and blocking the sprinklers itself. So it might this affecting the operational for the sprinklers. So we have to take out the air from the network. And the pressure gauge.
This one for cut off excess of pressure. It will measure the inside header line.
This will be the sensors and the controllers. The pressure gauge is just to measure the pressure within the line, to assuring that the operational pressure of the line is matching with the rated and the desired pressure level within the pump. And this one, it is always you need to have indication for the pressure gauge during the operational, during the maintenance, during the testing, to assuring that the pressure is okay. Circulating relief valve, and this one for electrical driven pump. So this one, from the definition, it is relieving valve. But the other one is a pump relief valve. And this one is especially for the diesel engine. What is the difference between both? It's a relief valve. If you notice, last time we talked about the electrical driven pump, which doesn't require a pump relief valve. The electrical driven pump, it has advantage that you can control the speed and the pressure of the pump by using variable frequency drive and the electrical controller for the motor pump. Different than the diesel driven engine driven pump, which doesn't have this facility of the speed control and the pressure control for the diesel drive. That's why it required a pump relief valve to discharge the excess amount of water from the network because of the continuously operational of the pump without discharge. And the alarm sensor and the indicators, from the definition, they are the alarm, the devices.
Can you please explain more about the circulation relief pump and pump relief, circulation relief valve and pump relief valve? If you have a photo or something.
Okay. Let us go, if you want, we can start going for the detailed slides for each one, and we'll continue for the alarm sensors
okay,
as well.
Okay, if you have details, okay.
Full of details, don't worry.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay, that's good. You can continue.
Let us go. Content. Let us go for the details. Okay, very hungry
no
for
problem.
The details.
You can continue. If you have details in other later slides, so it's okay for me. No problem. Thank you, engineer.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. This is the automatic release valves, and it has different shapes depending on the pressure, depending on the network, etc. And this automatic relief valve, if you can see the screen, the purpose for this one from the section, it is the function to collect the airs and just take it out of the network. So this one, relief valve, it is removing the air that may become trapped inside the pump casing. In the old installations, the air release valve might be manually operated, and an air release valve mounted on the top of the fire alarm of the fire pump casing or on the common header. So by nature, the air, it is going for the highest point. So you have to select the automatic air release in the highest points where you have the accessibility to release the air from the network. Okay, so it could be in the case of the pump, and it could be on the riser, the common riser, the horizontal, not the vertical. Vertically, it will not operate. So it has to be on the horizontal pipes. The air in the pressurized pipe is a serious concern. Previously, it was removal with result for more efficiency. Its removal will result for the more efficient, cost-effectively operational, and potentially avoid more serious problems, which we'll talk about it from the rusting, from the hammering, from the turbulence of the network. This is a circulation relief valve, and you can see this is the size of the relief valve. It's a very small one, and it doesn't take the size, the diameter for this one, it's 3/4 of inch, 19 millimeters. For the pump, for the huge pump, 2,500 GPM pump, it's very small. So you can see how this one is very small valve, because the function of it to relieve the discharge and amount of water accessing from the pump and reaching the 110 pressure rating of the, or 125 pressure rating of the pump. And this one, it is installed with the electrical driving pump, because electrical driven pump, it has the pressure gauge and it has the sensors. If the pressure increased, The VFD, the variable frequency drive and the control panel of the pump, it will take the signal and will start reducing the speed of the motor and reducing the pressure and maintaining the pressure of the pump within the normal operating pressure. So that's why the circulating relief valve is much smaller. Okay. And this one, it will be functionally when the pump it is running on the Schron position. Schron, it means that the pump it is running but without any discharge from the sprinklers. Okay. And when the pump is operating while discharging water through the fire protection, the circulation relief is not needed for cooling and should be closed. So it is not operating. As it is operating and discharging, so the relief valve is not functionally. So it is functionally only when the pump is running and there is no discharge. The idea for this one and how it is working, it is usually spring operated and they can fail with a slight bit of the obstruction metals in the valve or corrosion, etc. So that's why you have to test it within the inspection to inspect it, the situation and the pressure of this relief valve. The circulating valve should be set to open to the pump rated pressure to maintain it. Discharge from this valve should be piped to a drain or to outdoor. It's a small one, so it can't go direct for the drain or outside during the weekly test of the fire pump. So this is a small one of the circulation relief valve. So it is a small device connected to the electrical pump. And this kind of questions, how it is coming. Okay. And this one, the main function to prevent the pump casing from overheating or damaging the impeller packing and the impeller during extended period of running on shrine. So if the pressure is running, we are care about the pump casing itself to be protected. Okay, and the impellers, and this one it will be functionally when the pump is running at Schron situation. It means that the pump is running and there is no discharge, so the pressure is going higher to protect the case and the body of the pump and the impellers and the pier. This circulation relief valve is functioning. Okay, till the VFD start reducing the pressure, disconnecting releasing the running speed of the motor and relieving the high pressure from the pump. So till this time it is happening, this valve it is immediately operating because it is working by a spring case. The other one, pump release relief valve. You can see it's a huge one. Okay. And this one, it is required when a diesel engine pump is installed for a total 121% of net rated shutoff or Schron pressure. So this one, it is working and relieving the pressure at pressure 121% from the rated shutoff pressure. Okay. Relief valve should never be used in electrical driven or constant speed fire pump because this one, it is working with diesel pump. The other one, so this is a second type of the valves. The other accessory and the set of the fire system is the jockey pump. And the jockey pump, as we said, the size, it's a small pump to maintain the pressure, and it is working with a difference pressure. When the pressure difference, it is 5 to 10 psi. The size of the pump itself, in average, it is 1% from the overall fire pump size. And the pressure for this jockey pump So it's a small pump as it is discharge and the capacity, but it is producing a high pressure for the network. So the pressure for this one, it had to be 10 psi over the pump rated pressure. And this one, it has doesn't have a functional during the firefighting operational. In case of fire, Jockey pump, it will not help anymore. It's a small pump having a low flow. The function only to overcome and maintain the pressure within the network as rated pressure. If there is any leakage, any broken devices, any damaging during testing or something, this Jockey pump, it will operate once the pressure it is coming less than 5 psi from the rated pressure or 10 psi, between 5 to 10. Jockey pump will start operating to maintain. The advantage for the Jockey pump and why we are taking this Jockey pump, to maintain to avoiding the operational of the fire pump. The fire pump operational, once it is operated, it is activating all the fire alarm system, activating the scenarios for the fire modes. The fire alarm, it will start and taking the scenarios as per your design or cause and effect scenarios, and taking an action. And the fire pump, it will work continuously. If there is no discharge from a sprinkler, it means that the fire pump itself, it will it will continue running, and the pressure, it will go higher. It has to be discharged from the pressure relief valves, or it has to go releasing from the circulating relieving valve if it is electrical, etc. And it could not be stopped unless it is manually released and shut off. So, and this one, it is affecting the operational for the fire pump itself, which is required for the life safety and very expensive equipment. So we have to avoid operational for the fire pump, which we call it malfunctional or maloperational or false alarm from the fire pumps, to avoid this one and maintaining the fire pump to work exactly in the case of fire. That's why we have the Jockey pump here. The types of the drive for the fire pump, as we said, it is electrical driven pump or diesel driven pump. The pump driver should not overload beyond its rating, including any service factor allowance when delivering the necessary broken horsepower. Controller for the electrical panel. It has automatic and manual controllers, automatic switch, and manual switch for the testing. Another device is a packing gland, and the packing gland, it is used on the shaft itself to seal the water around the shaft of the pump. So this packing gland, normally it is required a lubrication, and the function for it to avoid any leakage of the water around the pressure, the shaft of the pump. Depending on the pump size during the operational, in big and large size of the pumps, due to the friction and the operational, it might require a cooling system for the shaft. The other type of the seal is the mechanical seal, which is fixed also on the pump shaft, the small one. So you have the packing gland, and you have the seal, the mechanical seal, and it is fixed on the shaft to avoid any leakage as well. So all of these elements and the devices, it will require maintenance. If it is leaking, if it is broken, if it is aligned, etc. The shown position, we talk about it, which is talking about the position or the situation where the pump is operating with no flow. Sometimes you call it shown or blocked rotor or blocked pump. By definition, by the way, many of the questions coming within the QCD exam, as we will see it later, they are asking the definition of the shown it means, and they give you 2, 3, 4 selections. So common questions within the QCD asking about the definitions, and the definition you can see, you can find it exactly in the first part of each chapter within the NFPA. What is the definition of rated capacity? Definition of the overload, definition of the detector, types of the, asking for definitions. Okay. Setting for the fire pump, I think this one we might talk about it last time when we talk about the fire pump, but prefer to have a refreshment for our memory. The Jockey pump starting at least within 10 psi. Set a point for the fire alarm, it is 5 psi less than the Jockey pump, so it has a difference of 5 or 10 psi. Where minimum run timers are provided, the pump will continue operate after attaining their pressures. Final pressure should not exceeding the pressure rating of the system. Type. This is the main equipment or the main elements within the system. We go through this one. I know we talk about it last classes about the components, etc. We have it within the slides, but as NFPA 25, they give definitions and giving the system components itself. And after that, going for the main core of the section 25, which we're talking about the testing, inspection, and the maintenance for the system. First, the weekly inspection. What is the weekly inspection? First one related to the fire pump house condition, which is the fire pump room. The head should be adequate. And what does it mean adequate? You know that it doesn't require any specific head or minimum required head for the fire pump room. We are talking about the room. It doesn't require a specific head to be maintained. You notice that? Even when we talk with the QCDD, they are talking about the enclosure, talking about the fire rated of the enclosure body. If it is 2 hours or it is 1 hour for sprinkler buildings and not high-rise buildings, they never talk about the head requirements, because it is related to the manufacturer, it is related to the accessibility, it is related to the size of the pump itself. And here talking about the inspection for the fire pump, the temperature should not be less than 40 Fahrenheit, 4.4 Celsius for the pump room with a diesel pump without engine. Ventilating louvers are free for operational. The second inspection we have it related to the pump itself. The pump suction and discharge and the bypass valve are fully open. We're just inspecting. We are not making any testing or maintenance. just we are inspecting weekly. The piping is free of leak. Suction line pressure gauge reading is normal. System line pressure gauge is normal. Suction reservoir is full. Suction reservoir is the water tank is full. The wet pit suction screens are unobstructed and in place. It is all visual inspection. So this is a visual inspection. Going for the driving system. For the electrical system, you see the control, the pilot light or the controller for the power in is illuminated, assuring that there is continuous power on. The transfer switch pilot light is illuminated. Transfer switch, which is we call it ATS, automatic transfer switch, to transfer between the normal light and the emergency generator. The light itself, it is on, illuminated in auto mode. The isolator switch, which is the main incoming for the electrical cables, is closed, is connected for the standby emergency source. Reverse phase alarm pilot is off, and the reverse phase, it is connected, it is indicated on the cables and the feeder coming from the generator side. The standby side is off. It means that the phase sequence and the operation, it will rotate the pump for pressuring, not for the suction, in the right direction. The oil level in a vertical motor side glass is normal. If it has an oil indicator, checking the oil level. So you can see here the electrical pump, it has few steps and a few tests, 4 or 5 tests visually weekly. On the other hand, the diesel, you can see checking the full tank is 2/3 full. Why it is 2/3 full? Because when you go for the fire tank, it has to be sized with a 30% additional from the tank size required for operation of the fire pump for 2 hours. So this one, it is 2/3 full, which enough for the fire pump to work for continuous operation. Controller selector is switches on the auto position. The batteries, reading the voltage is normal. The batteries for the diesel gen to start up, the charging current is normal. Pilot for the batteries is on. Alarm pilot light is off. Engine running time meter is reading. The oil level is normal. Crankcase oil is normal. Cooling water is normal. The level of the cooling water, if with this one, it's applicable for the big motors. If it has a cooling system, a cooling water system. The electrolyte level for the batteries is normal. The battery terminals are free from corrosion. Water jacket heater is operating. So all of these tests relate, you have to make it fully checked for the diesel engine pump, which you can see that the pump itself, the diesel engine pump, it requires more inspection. That's why we said the maintenance for this one, for the diesel, is higher cost than the electrical one. This is the first stage of the testing of the inspection. Going for the testing, how many tests and what we have to do within the test. A weekly test for the fire pump should be conducted. This test shall be conducted by starting the pump automatically. For the electrical pump, it has to run for 10 minutes monthly, not required weekly. To the electrical pump, it has to run 10 minutes only monthly. When the pump is started, a great deal of heat is generated from the engine needed to bring the pump up to speed. Section 8.3.2 requires that the electrical motor to be run for 10 minutes, so the motor winding can cool down after starting across the line. Another reason for the operation of the fire for 10 minutes to allow the time to check the pump backing and the bearing to determine if there is overheating or leaking excessively. So running for 10 minutes. This is for the electrical pump. What about diesel pump? It has to run for 30 minutes. Okay. And the intent for this 30 minutes to allow the pump and the drive to reach the operation temperature and will reveal any overheating problem. The 30-minute operation time is also intended to consume the fuel to prevent the fuel from stagnating and to prevent the wet stacking in the exhaust system. So this one, getting all the system, the fuel and the oil system circulating, not stagnating. The valve installed to open as a safety feature shall be permitted to discharge water. The automatic weekly test timer shall be permitted to be substituted for starting procedures. So running the test weekly for 30 minutes for the diesel pump and the 10 minutes monthly for the electric. Okay. What we have to do for the test? Number one, qualified operating person, they have to attend during the weekly operational and the testing for the pump. Starting with the visual observation and adjustment for the adjustment as specified below. What you have to do? Recording the system suction and the discharge pressure gauge reading. Suction from the water tank and the discharge from the common headers. What is the pressure rating? Check the packing gland. Adjust the gland nuts if necessary. Fixation. Checking unusual noise or vibration. And the noise and the vibration, it mainly happening due to non-alignment or missing the alignment between the driving device, electrical or diesel, or the pump itself. The boxes itself and the bearing and the casing, recording the starting pressure of the pump. For the electrical system, which will be operating monthly, observing the time for the motor accelerated to reach the full speed, and compare it definitely with the manufacturer setup timing. Record the time for the controller is on. First step for reducing voltage or reducing current starting. Recording the time pump runs after the starting for automatic stop controllers, because the pump it will run without discharge, so it has to be automatically stopped due to the pressure. And for the diesel pump, the procedures will be observing the time for the engine to crank, observing the time for the engine to reach the running speed, recording and observe the engine oil pressure, speed indicator, water, oil level, temperature, record any abnormalities, check the heat exchanger for cooling water flow. So taking all of these records, recorded for the weekly and the monthly test. What about annual test? Annual test for each pump assembly shall be conducted under a minimum rated and the peak flows of the fire pump. How it happening? By controlling the quantity of the water discharge through operated test devices. If available, the suction supplies do not allow following of 150% of the rated pump capacity. The pump shall be permitted to operate at a maximum allowable discharge. So running here, allowing the pump to go with the maximum allowable discharge with the full capacity. Within this text, using the pump discharge by the hose stream. Do you remember when we said testing about the stand pipe? Stand pipe, you have to take it. How many connectors we have to take it for the stand pipe of 1000 GPM pipe? Do you remember? Four outlets, 4 inch each. So using this the hose for discharging, because we are going to discharge the pump with the full capacity, and the pump is operating with the full capacity. So I have to take all of the amount of this water from where? Taking from the hose streams, suction and discharge pressure and the follow measures, measuring by the pressure gauge and the flow meters, measuring at each hose stream to determine the total pump outlet. Care shall be taken to prevent water damage by verifying this adequate discharge in the high pressure water discharge from the hose as a safety. To discharge it, be careful because it's working with the full discharge capacity and working with the full pressure. When the pump discharge via the bypass flow meter to drain or suction the reservoir, using the pump discharge via a bypass flow meter to drain and suction to reservoir, meaning that bypassing valves to drain the pressure from the pump, using the pump suction and discharge pressure and the flow meter measurements to be determined to calculate the pressure for the suction and the discharge, and getting the reading from the flow meter. We are getting the reading from the flow meter of the pump and getting the reading of the flow meter from the hose itself. Use the pump discharge via bypass flow meter to the suction for the closed loop metering. So this is continuously for the annual test. Suction and discharge pressure and the flow meter shall be determined for the total pump outlet. And when the annual test is conducted periodically, a test shall be conducted every 3 years. What we're going to do with all of these tests, weekly inspection and the monthly running for the pump and annually, why you are making all of these tests? Is it important to run it? And we are saying that take a record for the pressure, take a record for the flow, take a record for the voltage operation, take a record for the oil pressure, take a record for the battery the battery charging and current and volt. We are taking a lot of readings for each one. What we'll do with this, all of these readings and the records? Is it recorded somewhere? Definitely, it is. All of these readings is required for renewal of the civil defense and the license for the building. So you have to maintain all of this record, and when you are going to submission for the civil defense for renewal, you have to provide copy of all of these readings. And if you have inspection from the civil defense in between, they are going to check all of these readings. And it will be a part as well from the insurance for the building if you are applying some kind of insurance. Okay. While the pump is running and flowing water under the output condition, at no flow condition, so we have to take all the readings in case of the no flow condition, short situation, checking the circulation relieving valve for electrical is discharging to prevent the damaging for the casing of the pump. It checks the pressure relief valve if installed for the diesel pump. Continues the test for at least half an hour. At each flow condition, so at the shown condition, this is the test, conducting the test and detecting the reading, observation for the circulating valve and the pressure valve, etc. And for the flow condition, record the electric motor voltage and the current, record the pump speed in RPM, record the simultaneous approximately the reading for the pump suction and discharge pressure of the pump. When the pump, it has a pressure relief valve, especially for the diesel, the operation of the relief valve shall be closely observed during each flow condition. It has to run and to discharge if the pressure it is exceeding 121% of the operational pressure. The pressure relief valve shall also be observed during each flow condition to determine if the pressure relief valve closes at the proper pressure. So it is operating open and closing. A pressure relief valve that is open during the flow condition will be affect test result. Pressure relief valve shall be closed during the flow condition if necessary to achieve minimum rated characteristic of the pump. This one, if you would like to test the characteristic of the pump itself, so it could be manually closed. When you have electrical pump and you have automatic transfer switch, and automatic transfer switch, this one installed on the pump, if it is connected if it is fed from normal power directly from the transformer, or and it has a standby diesel generator, so it should have a transfer switch, and this one should be automatically adjusted, not in a manual position, should be in the automatic position. So we have to test. The test for this ATS and the controller, checking the overcurrent protection device like fuse or circuit breaker, it does not open. To assure that the ATS or the transfer switch is working, we have to simulate a power failure condition, like simulating the electricity is gone from the transformer side while the pump is operating at a peak load. So running the pump at the peak load and simulate the power failure, and you check the performance of the the ATS if it is automatically transferring the electricity for the generator, verifying that the power switch transfer the power to the alternate power source, verify the pump continues to perform at the peak load. Even during the transfer, the pump is working as a peak load. Returning back for the original situation by removing the power failure condition and verify after a time delay, the pump is reconnected to the normal power supply. And you can see here, there is after a time delay. After a time delay, once we remove the power failure, and it is instantaneously connected to the emergency if the main source of the electricity not coming from the transformer. And this is a trick here. Normally, the pump, it is connected, it is fed from the normal power of the system, from the electrical. And it is working in rated capacity and the peak load. If the power coming from the normal source disconnected, the ATS, it has to transfer within 10 seconds maximum, transferring the connection from the transformer to the generator. And the generator, it has to work with the full capacity within maximum time of 10 seconds and defeating the pump. So this transfer from the normal, which is failed and we simulated as a failure, to the generator, it's within 10 seconds. After you remove the simulation and returning the normal electrical to the system, the performance here of the ATS, it will not instantaneously and immediately return back to the normal supply. It will take a time, delaying time. It depends on the size of the ATS and the rating. It is taking like 20 seconds, 50 seconds to transfer back again from the generator to the normal supply. That's why it's taking here after a time delay to connect back again to the normal supply. During the operational for this one, you have to check the current and the voltage rating, and it has to match with the nameplate and the rated current on the operational voltage as per the data sheets of the pump itself. Getting the reading, the nameplate of the pump, it has to indicate all the current and operating voltage. Getting the readings of the current and the volts and compare it with the nameplate and data sheets of the pump. The voltage rating at the motor within 5% below or 10% above. Increasing if you have a different voltage, plus or minus 10%, okay, minus 5 or 10% above. So it is minus 5 and plus 10% of the voltage. It should not affecting the operational for the pump. Okay. And by the way, if we are talking about this electrical pump, the main purpose for the NFPA to maintain to secure the electricity for the fire pump at the worst condition. And I will give you some tips. You can consider it. You can consider it within the electrical pump. The electrical pump itself, as NFPA, it will be under NFPA 70E. Especially for the electrical engineers, they have to design the fire pump and assuring that the electricity it will maintain for the fire pump and continue operation under the severe condition without any failure and cutting the electrical from the pump. This one especially for the fire pump, because diesel, it is directly connected with the diesel engine. So they are securing the electricity, they are securing the operational and the drive for the pump from the diesel itself. For the electrical, it has a different equipment, generator and the transformer, the cables, etc. So they want to maintain it as maximum as it is possible. So NFPA, they put a condition for the fire pump. Number one, it has to be directly connected from the transformer without protection device in between to assure that the pump it is working and taking electricity without any failure. Second, the cables, they are sizing the cable for 6 times of the rated current to avoid any short circuit or locked rotor or overheating, which means that they are securing and assuring the electricity and maintaining the electrical supply for the pump under the severe condition without any failure. This one, it's a special care with the electrical pump, not applicable for the diesel pump, because the diesel pump, it is directly connected for the diesel engine. Okay. This is the selectivity, the characteristic curve for the pump, showing the flow rate and the pressure to compare it within your reading. So you have the reading during the test and the inspection, getting all the readings, and we have to compare versus to the characteristic curve of the pump. What will be the pressure, what will be the flow, getting the readings, and to compare if it is matching with the characteristic curve or not. And preparing your report based on the abnormality or abnormal observation during the inspection, or what will be the recommendation for any spare parts, etc. Okay. All the time delay interval associated with the pump starting, stopping should be recorded. Test result should be recorded and retained for comparison purpose. Okay. This one related to the operational, related to the inspection and the test annually, weekly, and monthly. The maintenance which we have to make it to prevent any failure or sudden damage, and to maintain the lifetime for the equipment. So we have to run preventive maintenance program. Preventive maintenance program, it is mainly based on the manufacturer recommendation, the intervals for the preventive maintenance, and what will be the spare parts and what will be the test as a preventive maintenance, and the replacement for devices depending on the manufacturer recommendation. Doesn't have NFPA any recommendation itself. They have proposals for the recommendation, which I will show to you, but doesn't have a restricted. They keep it depending on the manufacturer recommendation as well. All records should be maintained for all work performed for the pump or the drive or the equipment. In the absence of the manufacturer recommendation of prevention maintenance, we can use these tables from the NFPA. This table from the NFPA 8.5.3, it's talking about the summary for the fire pump inspection, testing, and maintenance. And it is collecting for you all of the visual test and the checking and the changing or test. For the pump system, for the lubricate pump bearings, it's changing annually. A check pump shaft and play, checking annually, etc. So it is giving you all the list of the test and the inspection and the changing, whatever you would like to make, giving you all the recommendations based on as proposed from NFPA in case of absence of manufacturer recommendation. Otherwise, you have to follow the manufacturer recommendation. This one is talking first about the pump system mechanical transmission, electrical transmission, diesel engine system. Like the diesel fuel, tank fuel, it has to be visually inspected weekly and check weekly. Tank flow switch, visual inspection weekly and testing weekly. Solenoid valve operational, inspect weekly and test weekly. Okay. Strainer filters, water and foreign material in the tank, inspect manually, checking manually. Lubrication system, inspection weekly. Cooling systems. So giving you all of the tests required. Exhausting system inspection, battery system, electrical system, what will be required. Okay. So why I'm showing you this one here on the, because this one, it's a very important table and a very important part related to the exam. The exam, it will come for you. Battery exhaust system leakage. It has to be tested periodically, weekly, monthly, semi-annual, and annual, and giving you a choice. So you have to know it has to be checked weekly, tested when, changed when, inspected when. Okay, and this table, it is available on the NFPA. It is table number 8.5.3.1, 8.5.3. It is available, and the exam, it's an open book. So if the question it comes for you asking about the inspection and when it has to be tested and periodically how long it will be, so you have the test ready for you. The same table you will find it with the QCDD maintenance and inspection guidelines. Okay, and also this QCDD guidelines, inspection and the testing guidelines, it's a free download from the website with the same table and the same periodics as well. Okay, so they are following the same. So you know now, from where the QCDD, they get the tables and the procedures and the inspection, from where they get it. This is the source how it is created. Okay. Pump vibration, I think we talk about the pump vibration due to the alignment. And this is a table for the limit of the vibration for the pump, depending on the size, the pump type, and the pump size, what would be the allowed vibration as per NFPA. Like, for example, for the end suction, for the 10 horsepower, it is a maximum allowed 3.6 millimeter per second. And this is enlarged graphs and pictures how it has to be clearly aligned. So this kind of misalignment, and it has to be exactly aligned. The alignment for the pump itself, it has to be inspected by the manufacturer himself before the handing over, during the inspection and the final installation. And they are making with the laser gun to assuring that the alignment between the shaft of the driven device and the pump itself. Okay. And this is again the observation for the engine diesel. For the cooling system, for the battery, for the electric. This is the same, I think it's the same observation we have made it within the weekly inspection for the diesel engine type. Okay. I think this one, it's finishing the chapter for 25. Any questions for gentlemen? That's good. Still you are with me or I'm alone?
No, sir. We are with you.